What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with my Week 4 NCAA football power rankings. Here we are, a great week of football. Some teams losing, some teams moving up, and dropping from the rankings. We have Georgia Tech, suffered that loss, so they're falling from the rankings. And then the others receiving votes, I think any of these teams could be ranked, but they're just not in my top 25 power rankings just yet. I think they need one more game to prove it. Memphis beating an 0-3 Florida State team now. It's not that good of a win at this point, but it is a good win because it is a road win. And Illinois will be ranked if they can beat Nebraska this week. But we'll start with 25, and it's Arizona. I don't want to overreact because this is a big game for them. I'm not dropping them out of the rankings. 25 is fair. The last team ranked, they just didn't show up after halftime. The game was close at half, but then K-State just took over in the second half, and that resulted in Arizona looking like they got blown out. They come out of the bye and they face Utah on the road. So things could go really well for them out of the bye, or it could turn really sour really quick. 24 is Iowa. They move up one with a win at home against Troy. Now they go on the road to face Minnesota. It's going to be, how is this offense going to play in Big Ten play? That's going to be the big question for them. If they can keep scoring like 30 points, I think they're going to be a very good football team this year. Iowa State moves up one. They have a bye last week, and now they get Arkansas State. And then their schedule's pretty easy if you look at it. I don't want to say super easy because it is still the Big 12. Utah, K-State at the end of the year when you could possibly be 8-1. It's all right there for Iowa State at this point, getting over that hump of beating Iowa. Now they just got to keep on winning. 22 is Clemson. Had a bye last week, but they get NC State in a big game for both of those programs this early in the season. But is it going to be Cade Klubnik time? That's the thing. If Cade Klubnik can show up and play good, I think NC State doesn't really have a chance here in this one. I'm not saying it's going to be like Tennessee level, but I think Clemson would win pretty easily. 21 is Notre Dame, man. Man, this team, biggest question mark is Riley Leonard. You can see there, didn't do much passing, but running the ball, 3 touchdowns, 100 rushing yards. Jeremiah Love, 10 attempts, 109 yards and a touchdown. And this team still can make the playoffs, even with that loss to Northern Illinois. This team has a chance. They pretty much just got to win out. Maybe they're only lost to USC at the end of the year. But if Notre Dame suffers an ugly loss to someone, like if they lost this week at home, I think, that 10, even if they finish 10-2, I think you don't want to put them in just because they lost 2 games to a MAC school. Syracuse staying at 20. They get Stanford this week in an ACC matchup. And Kyle McCord, as long as he can keep lighting up, this team's going to be really good. Same thing for Louisville. Bye. Now they get Georgia Tech in a good game for Louisville. A really tough test for them. I guess their first one of the year. But Tyler Show, can he lead this team to an ACC championship? That's the biggest thing. I think that spot is up for grabs because it looks like it's Miami and everybody else. And if Louisville can keep playing some good ball, I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the running in the last few weeks. 18 is Nebraska. They moved up a few here, and now they get Illinois at home. It's a ranked matchup, 24 versus 22. It's going to be a great game. Dylan Raiola, threw his first interception, struggled, but yet again, they didn't really need him that much. And I think that was a good warm-up game for him coming in to face Illinois here. And, they already beat Colorado at home. And Illinois might be a little tougher test just because it is a Big Ten opponent. 17 is Michigan. And I'm dropping my favorite team here 4 spots. They deserve it. Quarterback's going to be Alex Orji moving forward. They've announced that today. But the running game is what's going to win them games. Let's be honest. Mullins and Edwards obviously stole a show last week. Maybe if Orji can help them in some read options and possibly some play actions, this Michigan offense will look a little better. But don't expect too much to happen against USC because Lincoln Riley finally has a defense. 16 is LSU escape against South Carolina on the road. And it was a great game. LSU winning this game down 17-0 to start the game. Didn't think that was going to happen, but they came back, won this game, face Ole Miss in their next SEC game after they play UCLA this week. And I mean, LSU, maybe that week 1 loss. After that, I think this team can be really good. Now, Oklahoma gets their first true SEC test here. Tennessee at home. Jackson Arnold's going to have to play some great football for this team to win a game. I'm not going to tell you who's going to win this one, but Oklahoma definitely has it a lot harder than Tennessee. 14 is Oklahoma State, and this team, they're looking good. They survived a week ago. Now they get Tulsa, beat them, and then now they get Utah at home in a huge Big 12 game implication early in the year. Both those teams undefeated. And if Oklahoma State can win this game, they're probably going to be in my top 10 next week. And I would assume that if they win this game, it's going to be because Ollie Gordon had a great day. 13 is USC, and I'm dropping them one spot here just because of the bye. But they get Michigan on the road in the Big House. If they can go in there, win that game in the Big House, Miller Moss has a great game. Yeah, this USC team might be legit and possible that not newcomer, but unexpected team in the Big Ten that's really making a push. 12 is K-State, and obviously they're moving up because of that beatdown of Arizona at home. Avery Johnson, great game. They couldn't ask for anything more from him. And if he can play like that for 10 out of the 12 games in the Big 12, they'd probably win at least 10, maybe even 11, depending on the running game. But they get BYU on the road at night. That's going to be a good environment. Them tough test for them in Big 12 play. Penn State comes out of the bye to face Kent State. Nothing much to say there. As long as Drew Aller is healthy, this team has a chance to win. Miami, same thing, nothing really to say. Blowout as expected. Cam Ward putting up Heisman numbers as he's the early favorite. Now they go another in-state game at USF in Tampa. I expect Miami to beat them down pretty good. Not 62 to nothing, but definitely by a good margin. Nine's Utah, and they beat Utah State even without Cam Rising. When will he be back? That's the biggest question. But Isaac Wilson got his first career start, played really well, only one interception, only one mistake. But, obviously they leaned heavily on the running game, and Micah Bernard had a great game as well. But now it's kind of interesting for the Big 12. Oklahoma State, Arizona, K-State, even Utah. They all have their toughest games against each other earlier in the year. I don't know if they did that on purpose, so it looks better if they're all 10-2 at the end of the year, maybe to get into the playoff. We'll see. But Utah, they have their work cut out for them this week against Oklahoma State. 8 is Tennessee, and man, I'm starting to love these Vols. Nico Imalava, I still probably can't pronounce it right. Just an okay game, but the running game obviously was the key factor here. Sampson over 104 touchdowns, Bishop over 102 touchdowns, and Peyton Lewis 1 yard shy of 100. And they're up 65-0 at half. So if Oklahoma wants to stop this team, you're going to have to somehow figure out how to slow down this offense. I'm not even saying stop it. Just slow it down where you can score enough to win. Seven's Alabama, and early in the first half, it seems like a typical Bama performance. They struggle, but then they go in the second half and just all gas, no brakes. Jalen Milroe looked great, 5 total touchdowns. They come out of the bye, and their next game is home against Georgia. Early implications for the playoff and SEC championship as well for both of those teams, as I'm starting to like this Alabama team and might be jumping on the bandwagon. Ohio State drops 2 spots out of the bye just because the better teams played. Defense is excellent. Will Howard still looking good. And the running game of Judkins and Henderson, nothing to complain about. 5 is Oregon. They're moving up one after a dominant road win in the rivalry game against Oregon State. Dylan Gabriel, look, hopefully this is the turning the page game where this offense can really start to play how we thought they would. They go into the bye with some good momentum this week, come out of it, face some Big Ten opponents, and they can hopefully hit the ground running here and never look back. 4 is Missouri. Now, this is a team that I think deserves to be maybe even higher on my rankings, but I'm putting them at 4 in the safety. Brady Cook's great. Nate Noel taking over for Cody Schrader. Doesn't even look like they changed. And then Luther Burden, obviously one of the best receivers in college football. As long as Cook and Burden are on the field, they always have a chance to win. But this defense is not getting talked about enough. Boston College is a good team. Obviously bringing in Bill O'Brien, a great experienced coach, and obviously turning them around already, making it a close game here. But Missouri, I think they're one of those favorites in the SEC this year that isn't named Alabama or Georgia. Ole Miss could be in that same category as well. Jackson Dart looks awesome. Henry Parrish is great. And Trey Harris, obviously the wide receiver one there in Mississippi. And all 3 of those guys are going to have great seasons if they want to compete in the SEC. 2 is Georgia. And yeah, maybe I'm overreacting here. They got the road win. They've done it for their 3rd straight year where they go on the road. First SEC game, struggle, but find a way to win. And Carson Beck, Dominic Lovett didn't really do too much. But hey, a win is a win. As long as this defense can play good, Georgia always has a chance to win. And maybe it's a little bit of an overreaction. But of course, I'm putting Texas at 1. Even losing Quinn Ewers, maybe after this upcoming week, they already announced Arch Manning is going to start. Who knows how long Ewers actually will be out, but I expect him to be back quicker rather than later. But Arch Manning looked great when he stepped in. 4 touchdowns and then a 67-yard rushing touchdown as well. Isaiah Bond, 2 touchdowns over 100 yards. This Texas team looks legit. and they already got a big win on their belt already going into the big house and beating Michigan. That's going to be it for our week 4 power rankings. Check back next week to see if your team made the cut. Until next time, the Bench Buddies are out.